Check, check. We should be live. Just gonna share this to my group real quick. How's everybody doing out there in the old internet world? Just launched my Patreon this week. Have one patron so far. Happy to have any y'all sign up. I'm gonna make it well worth your while for the investment. I'm gonna keep pumping out cool content continuously because I have so much to share, and it's actually been really hard for me to like justify giving out a lot of the information that I have continuously for free, just because I still, I'm lucky to make ends meet with 2 daughters and maintaining a studio. So I appreciate anybody that does support, anybody that goes to my Patreon or my Gumroad. It means the world to me. I see every single one of you, so what up? We're gonna get started in about 2 minutes. I just want to make sure that everything has been properly shared. Boom. That should do it. All right. And then finally, I will share on my own Facebook. Boom. Live now. Boom. Cool. All right, so basically I want to open this by saying that I spent quite a lot of time trying to figure this stuff out, and it was incredibly frustrating to get it working, and I would say more times that I went to go and do it, it didn't work and I stopped using it. I pretty much downloaded it, tried to make it work. It didn't work. I got frustrated. I said, I'll go back to this later. I went back to it later, tried to hook it up. It didn't work. I got frustrated again. And every now and then my mind looped back around on it and was like, I got to get this working. This is crucial for me. So I'm not the only person that has this problem. I actually have a good friend that reached out to me that I'm going to screen share with him and help him get it set up after this. Before I go to my Patreon, but I just wanted to basically put this information out there and get people excited about what they can do for free from home, and it's not super hard. I'm not going to go super in detail here because, again, I'm only going to put 15 minutes into this stream, but I hope I can get enough free information across to anybody that's even slightly intuitive to figure this out on their own. And then if you feel that you want my help going forward, then come join my Patreon, and there's going to be a ton of other awesome resources on there as well. But I'm going to go really deep into this and describe how my setup is and some of the caveats and alternatives and things like that. So let's get right into it. Boom, here we are. So if you're on Windows, half the people watching this are on Macs, half of the people are on Windows. If anybody wants to share this stream, by the way, in some audio groups or live streaming groups or whatever, that would be super appreciated. I'm only one person, and it's really hard to do all of the social media management. That's why I'm looking into getting additional people on my team. But that being said, if you are a friend and you want help, just share this to some audio groups while we're streaming here and get us some more heads. That would be awesome. Let me also make sure I have the chat visible real quick. So as you see up on screen here, this is 𝕿𝖕𝖘 𝕯ᵃ.com. I'm going to put every single one of these links on my Patreon. There's going to be a big summarized post with all the free tools and everything, and some of the pay ones that are pretty sweet as well, and in addition, some of the other cool things that you can do to get it running for you. So VB cable is the equivalent of Soundflower for Mac. So if you're on Windows, you're going to want to get this VB audio cable. Again, that's 𝕿𝖕-audio.com/cable. You can Google any of this stuff. It's going to come up super easy. I know you guys know how to do that. Don't be that lazy. So VB Audio is pretty much a middleware software that allows you to send audio streams to it, and then once it's sitting there holding a bunch of audio streams, you can send that to other things as its own audio stream. And that's really useful in the case of audio DAWs, because very often you're choosing an audio interface that is the same audio interface that you're trying to pick up in OBS, and because they're both using them in the same way, you're not able to get that audio stream over. So what this does is it basically ports the audio stream over. So many people watching this are going to know what I'm talking about. A lot of people are not. And really just Ableton or Logic or whatever it is that you're using to create your music in, if you want to do a tutorial or you want to share that stream, the song that you're working on as you're working on it, you know, this is a great way to do it. So you download and install this app. They've got a couple alternatives, including this hi-fi one. There's some paid ones, but the free thing does everything that you need. There's like donationware for most of it, so obviously if you have the money and you support it and like it, donate, because this is really cool, handy stuff. So this is kind of where it's a little convoluted, and why like it's not really that intuitive to use this stuff. So once you install it, it's kind of like, well, what the hell do I do now? Now I have to like go in my system settings, and most people aren't interested in doing any of that. They're literally just trying to like double click on software and work in that one thing that they're doing, not go into all these system settings and stuff. So I'm gonna go in again, a deep dive on this stuff on my Patreon. How do you route things? But it's fairly intuitive, and if you just keep trying it out, it works. So in the case of Windows, you're going to use VB cable. If you're on Mac, which I actually stopped using Mac quite a while ago because they stopped doing support for all types of graphics stuff, and yes, for audio production, it's actually really, really great. So I'm not knocking Macs, but I just currently don't have any, so I can't be showing you a screen share of that. But that being said, there is this alternative for Mac called Soundflower, and Soundflower is really quick to install, and it does the exact same thing as what we're talking about here in Windows. So basically the purpose of this whole thing is to, let me jump over to Ableton real quick, and if you go File, Options, Preferences, over in the Audio tab in your Ableton preferences, you have the audio output device that you're able to configure. So in this case, I'm choosing the cable input, and by me outputting into cable's input, it's holding it now, that audio stream, and then over in OBS, I'm able to, I guess I can show you that as well. There'll be, this video loop or whatever, but I can show you that. The tools, file settings, right here. There we go. In the settings, you go to your audio settings here, and then I'm able to choose, for whatever reason in the desktop audio settings it doesn't come up, but down in the mic auxiliary audio devices, you can go in here and you can choose your cable output. And then once you do that, it's going to come up here, and I've labeled these so they won't come up that way, but cable out is anything that is being sent to cable in. So right now I have this going into cable in, and if I open up another DAW right now and I also set it to cable input, and I open up 2 or 3 other programs and set them all to cable input, all that stuff's going to come down that one audio stream. So that's why they have like cable A, B, and C, D, is you can split those out and send different ones, and it's really cool. So in other words, you're able to reroute your audio that way. So I should just be able to hit play here. I think you guys should be able to hear that, right? Let me mute this out. audio works just fine, and that's because of the way that it's being routed out. So just real quick, what is this software that I'm using? I'm using OBS Studio, Open Broadcast Software, Open Broadcaster Software Studio. So that they have it for Mac and Windows. There are some alternatives to this. There's one called Streamlabs, but I highly suggest that you pick up OBS Studio. One of the things that I don't have here yet that I want to pick up is called a Stream Deck, and a Stream Deck is pretty much a small little panel of video buttons or picture buttons that you can customize, and you can have like pages within like folders of buttons, so you can make one button contain a whole bunch of other buttons, things along those lines. But really the reason this is so cool is because it has this software that's built for it that's compatible with a lot of these streaming softwares, and instead of having to use one of these free softwares, which I'm going to show you real quick, you're able to get it done a lot faster just by setting stuff through this, because it's been configured for all the things that we use, so Twitch and all that stuff. All the big streamers are using these things. They're super cool. So I spent some time looking into seeing if I could do it for free. There's one called Touch Portal. I haven't got it working yet, but I've got the app on my phone working, and this is pretty much use old Android or your old iPhone that's sitting around with nothing going on it. You can install this app on it and use it the same way you would use a Stream Deck. This is like free-ish ware, so like the 1 or 2 pages you can use in the free version, and then if you want to have unlimited pages, you got to pay for the pro version or whatever. But I haven't even got the free version working. It seems to be kind of messy, so we'll see if I can get that working. Again, I'm going to share all these links on my Patreon. No problem. Google all this stuff. It's super easy to come across. So Touch Portal is pretty much the free-ish solution, because everybody's already got a phone, and if you're not using your phone during your stream, you could use this instead. So if you don't want to use one of these things, or this seems a little convoluted or too much or whatever, the other alternatives are to use something called like 𝕐𝖏𝖆𝖘, or creating like a macro keyboard, which is having a secondary interface where you set up all your buttons to be able to live stream and jump back and forth. So why would you want to do this? Well, over in OBS, you have all these different scenes that you're able to set up, and see, so I have to go over here and click on them to change them. And if I have my focus of my mouse or my program focus over here, and I like try to use a hotkey, it's obviously not going to control OBS. So what you need to do is set up kind of a secondary system to be able to trigger scene changes and stuff in OBS. And I mean, the other way around that is to be running OBS on a separate computer and be using something like NDI. So let's jump down and explain the last couple things real quick, because I got to wrap this up and we're going to move it over to Patreon. But there's this OBS WebSocket that you need to be able to use Touch Portal. It's basically one of the requirements to use it. Here we go now with OBS Studio integration. So if you just go to Touch Portal and go to their download for it, then they have this thing that will link you to the GitHub for the OBS WebSocket, and you install that, and OBS will then have the ability to connect to Touch Portal, and then you download it on your phone as well. So let's move away from that, because again, I haven't even got it working. 𝕐𝖏𝖆𝖘 is a really cool program that is free, that allows you to basically make like automation for your computer. So this is a huge time saver. Anybody who hasn't checked this out yet, just go check it out, because there are a bunch of free pre-made ones, and once you get into it, there's actual coding involved to make anything happen in 𝕐𝖏𝖆𝖘, which is again why the Stream Deck is cool, because you don't have to code anything. It's pretty much figured out for you. So I'm using this Lua script, it's called Second Keyboard by this guy, Taryn. He has a bunch of really cool videos. But second keyboard allows you to plug in an additional like spare keyboard that you have laying around, and then completely like segment it off so when you type on it, it doesn't trigger any keystrokes, and then you can use something like auto hotkey bound to what those keys are, and you can have an entire panel of 128 keys I think are on a normal keyboard, but that's 128 macros, and then you can make so double taps do different things and triple taps do different things and long holds do different things, so you can get a crazy amount of automation out of it. The only thing is the keys aren't labeled. You just have to remember where everything is, or print out little little labels for everything and stick it all to it. And a lot of people do that, and I may eventually do that, but for now, just having a blank keyboard is fine. I'm not having trouble remembering any of that. Let me get back to my big screen. So second keyboard, Lua script, you load up in this Lua thing, and then you're able to auto hotkey with a second keyboard. So that basically serves as like a Stream Deck type of thing without having to use all these crazy secondary interfaces, which are useful. But in the case of a Stream Deck XL, that's $250. In the case of a cheaper one, it's like $150 or something like that. Anyway, and getting through stuff through the mail is freaky for some people right now and all that. So again, like if you just want to do what you can with what you got, then you're good. So the other thing is NDI, and you can port an entire screen from one computer to another over the network, and you can do this for free. So if you go to ndi.tv and download the NDI tools, and if you've got a laptop and a desktop, and your laptop's what you mainly do your production on or whatever you're DJing on, you can actually send out the stream from that screen, and then maybe plug your audio cable coming out of your laptop or interface into the desktop interface into the OBS stream, and just bring in the other computer's screen through OBS, and then you've basically offloaded and separated your things. So the one other thing I want to mention here is that most people probably have one screen, not two screens. I work with 4 screens right now, and not everybody's going to have that type of freedom. So doing live streams on one screen with OBS and Ableton, yes, you're going to have to, let me try and do it. You're going to have to be doing lots of kind of jumping back and forth to change your settings and to mute things out and to make sure your levels are right and everything. So I try to make sure that everything stays at around -10. I never allow it to go into the red on streams. Yeah. That's pretty much everything. I'm going to see if I have any other tips here. NDI is super useful for tons of stuff. And then you go get this OBS NDI plugin, and then once you've got these tools installed, and once you've got OBS NDI installed in OBS, then you have the ability to add in an NDI source, and you can bring in any source from anything that's sending out NDI. So, I mean, if you've got video program running in the background or whatever, and you want to send that out as well. I'm going to go really, really deep into this stuff on my Patreon. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really, really want you to, check out my Patreon, and I'm going to make it incredibly valuable for anybody that tunes in. Last couple things here. My bottom of my stream has this scrolling thing going on showing the output of my Winamp player and what song is currently playing. So Snip, I don't think that the newer versions support Winamp anymore, so I'm not updating the version that I'm on right now. I'm on whatever, I can't figure out what version I'm on, but yeah, they want me to update. I'm not going to update because I think they removed Winamp support. But you can see over here that VLC, iTunes, Spotify, anything that you're playing in those will automatically come up over in OBS if, what is it, Winamp song title. So I'm bringing in this snip.txt that is in the root of the snip folder, and that just updates automatically every single time a new song loads. So it's referencing, this little checkbox here, read from file. If that's not on, you're not going to see this text file thing. So you got to create a text object. You got to choose read from file. You got to choose your file of snip.txt, and then it will output that. And in my case, I have, filters. I have a scroll effect filter. If you go and click the plus down here and you add a scroll, that's how you get this little situation to go down. And you can set how wide it is and how high it is and whether or not it loops and all that goodness. So close that out. And then I think that's it, guys. Again, thanks everybody in the internet. Oh yeah, Winamp. Go get yourself some Winamp, because if you can tell from my moving background here, let me go back here. You can tell from this cool moving background here. This is 𝕿𝖆𝖕𝖘, and this thing's been around forever. Go again, Google 𝕿𝖆𝖕𝖘. It's just amazing. And having Winamp over on my third screen here, full screened, I'm able to then bring that in as a background for my stream here. And anything, if I actually, this is going to be a fun little live stream bonus tip that I'm going to add in, because why not? But you can, in 𝕿𝖆𝖕𝖘, yeah, what up, Colin? Sorry, I didn't see that that people were watching and stuff. But yeah, you can go over in 𝕿𝖆𝖕𝖘 here, preferences, file, play URL, and then if you do line_in:// enter, then it'll actually respond to the line input. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if that's responding. Yeah. Yeah. It does appear to be. So I'm not entirely sure which line it's using right now, but I'm able to get 𝕿𝖆𝖕𝖘 to respond to an external input by using line:// over in the URL. So super fun little bonus trick. Again, I really appreciate you guys. Get on over to the Patreon, where I'm going to go in depth with how to set these things up, in Windows. And if somebody, wants me to pipe into their Mac to help them figure it out with Soundflower, if they can't get it out, just shoot me a message. We'll see what we can do, see if we can organize a little something. And boom, that will do it. Thank you again. Appreciate you all. Stay healthy. We'll talk very soon.